Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. My apologies that I haven't filmed a lot over the last week. We've had a snowmageddon here in DC and there's too much commotion in the house for me to have some quiet time to film something. So here we are. We're doing an episode today on cooktops. And you're probably wondering, well, why do I have to, well, I just have a cooktop, I use it fine. Yeah, all good. I just wanted to share some thoughts around the three different types of cooktops, advantages and disadvantages. Maybe there's some tidbits that you didn't know. Or if you're considering upgrading or changing your cooktop, this is a good episode to sort of understand the differences between them, some advantages and disadvantages that hopefully will help inform your decision. How this came about was a friend of mine, an old longtime friend who I grew up with overseas, sent me a note and said, hey, I just moved from an apartment that had gas and now I have electric. I don't know how to use it, what's the right setting, etc. So I thought I'd make a video on cooktops. So here we are. Three major types of cooktops: gas, electric, and induction. Those are your three that you're going to get anywhere around the world. I'll talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each one. Let's start with gas. Gas is fantastic. It's been around probably the longest. It's a great heating source, a good heating source, and we love using it for a number of different reasons. Advantages of gas. 1, it immediately turns on, immediately heats the food. Great. 2, precise control over the flame gives you precise control over how much you're cooking the food. You can visually see the flame when you're controlling the knob, so that's a big advantage for gas over anything else. And 3, I think that's about it actually, right? Oh, 3, sorry. When you turn off the gas, you can leave your food on the eye that you're cooking with, and it will stop cooking immediately because there's no direct heating source and there's no residual heat that's still being transmitted into your cookware to cook the food. So you can leave it on. You do have to be careful that the stainless steel grates that the cookware sits on can be hot for a while until they've had a chance to cool down before you can touch them, remove them to clean, etc., etc. Okay, cleaning relatively easy enough. You just take the grate off and just kind of clean, you know, whether it's ceramic or stainless steel, whatever, however way the sort of the cooktop is manufactured. A disadvantage is that, 2 disadvantages, major ones. 1, it is not an efficient source of heating. It's actually 50% efficient, only 50% efficient, which is the lowest out of all 3, believe it or not. Because it's a flame and because there's air surrounding the flame, half that heat that's being transmitted, the energy that's being transmitted, is lost. Now, that doesn't necessarily, you probably don't feel it in your pocketbook as much, but just know that half the energy is lost. If energy efficiency is your concern, gas is the least efficient. A second disadvantage is pollution. So gas stoves emit gases even when they're on that are not necessarily the healthiest around the house. Obviously, if the flame's off but the gas is on, that's extremely dangerous. We've all seen movies. One of my cooking schools that I went to actually burned down twice because somebody left the gas stove on, just blew up from a spark somewhere. So be careful with gas. Be very, very careful with gas, especially if you have children. Okay, so that's gas. Gas is great. Cool. Electric comes in 2 kinds. 1 is that spiral that you see that sits on top of the stove. 60s style, still looks like 60s style no matter how much they dress up the stove, the cooktop itself, but it still looks like it's from the 60s. And then you've got your glass. I'm not sure that you see those spiral ones as much anymore. I think they do still sell them, but very rarely now. But now you get these nice glass cooktops that look nice and modern, but they're still electric underneath. Advantages of electric. 1, it's more efficient than gas, 70% efficient. Great. 2, it transmits the heat directly into the food and the energy directly into the food, so it cooks well. And that's about all the advantages I can see for electric. Disadvantages, when you turn it off, it remains hot. So if you don't move the cookware and your pot, pan, skillet, what have you, off the eye that you've been using, it will continue to cook. because there's residual heat that's still on the glass that will take a while for it to go down. So you need to move it off. Second biggest disadvantage is that these glass ones, they're supremely difficult to clean. If you get foods dropping onto a hot eye, it'll burn for one. Two, it will stick. And no amount of scrubbing without the special glass cooktop chemical solution that you can buy pretty much anywhere will get it off easily, right? In fact, it's just a mess to try and clean. So those are the two major disadvantages. It's probably, for me, it's probably the least favored out of all three. The only good thing about electric is that it's cheap. So it's the cheapest of all three. It goes from electric to gas to induction in terms of low price, medium price, high price. But if I had the choice, I wouldn't use electric personally. I would use induction if I didn't have gas in the house. Even if I did have gas in the house, honestly, I'd still choose induction. Let me talk about induction now. Induction is the new tech that's been out, and honestly, I think it's becoming the favored technology, and professional chefs and professional kitchens actually are starting to favor induction over gas for a number of different reasons. One, precise control over your heat. So this stove specifically has 18 different settings, levels to heat. So I can precisely control exactly how much energy I want to transmit into the food to cook it. So that's fantastic, and it's even more precise, I think, than gas. Because gas, you're visually kind of seeing the flame, and these knobs are not that sensitive to give you 18 different or precise points. I mean, you can probably argue that it does, but this, you just put it in and you know exactly how much energy you're transmitting into the food. That's one advantage. Second advantage is that it's immediate. You turn it on and it immediately starts to cook. So it cooks food at the same level, say medium, twice as fast as electric or gas. Why? Because it's 90% efficient. 90, it's the most efficient. So how does that work, right? So how does induction work? Induction is basically, you pass electric current through when you turn it on. There's a magnet that sits under this glass that basically gets triggered. Then when you put a cookware that's compatible on top of it, that magnet triggers an electric current through the cookware that immediately heats the food. So it's basically done through magnets, through a magnetic field. And that's it. So another advantage of that is that this never gets really hot. The glass gets warmish hot only because of the residual heat that's transmitted back from the pan into the glass. But if I turn this on now, right, and I put my hand here, it's cold. It won't ever, because it's a magnet. And actually, if nothing's on it, it won't turn on. But even if it did turn on, it's cold, right? So safety, huge advantage, right? It never gets that hot because it's basically a magnet. It only gets warm when you've got something on top of it and the residual heat from the cookware gets transmitted back to the glass. So that's another advantage. And a fourth advantage, if you may, is when you turn it on, because when you turn it off, it's off. So it stops cooking immediately. So you don't need to move the foods off because of the residual heat. There's a little bit of residual heat, but it's not much. In fact, if you boil water, and you can probably done this, if you boil water, it'll boil. It could go to a hard boil, and as soon as you turn it off, it's done, right? So control, precise control, safety are the two biggest advantages of induction. Disadvantage, price. It is the most expensive of all three. Fine. It's actually, I don't think it's that much more expensive, but it is more expensive. Second disadvantage is that you have to have cookware that's compatible with it. Pretty much everything is compatible with it. Stainless steel, non-stick, ceramic, all that good stuff. cast iron, copper, all of it's compatible except aluminum. So if you remember from the cookware episode, aluminum, old tech, doesn't transmit heat very well, and you should probably toss it at this point. It's served its purpose back in the 60s when we didn't have better elements to make cookware with. Just toss it. And get yourself a good stainless steel set. They're relatively inexpensive. Okay, so disadvantage again is that you have to be careful what type of cookware you use with it. But the good thing is that they'll all tell you if they're induction compatible or not. Either they'll specifically say induction compatible, or they'll say all cook types compatible. Something like that. But pretty much everything is except aluminum. So that's it. What would I choose? If I was, say, upgrading my kitchen, if I wanted to change, if I had gas in here, what would I choose if I wanted to change it? I would choose induction 100% of the time. Super easy to clean, very, very safe for kids, for anybody. They won't turn on unless it's got something on it to turn it on. They're very efficient. They cook fast. The level of preciseness on the levels is phenomenal. I mean, there is really no disadvantage to this other than a little bit, price, and you have to have compatible cookware. But pretty much everything right now is compatible except aluminum. So they're really, other than price, this is the way I would go. Even if I had gas in the house, I would still choose induction. In fact, my brother did that. He was upgrading his electric. He had gas. Actually, I think he had gas. I think they were upgrading, and they decided, nope, we just want induction. And everybody that has induction loves it. So that's my personal recommendation. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was somewhat informative. And if I missed anything, please send it in the comments. Please remember to like and subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the more I can put this out, the more Google sends out, promotes the videos, etc. And I hope you really enjoyed this, and I hope to see you soon. Thanks.